Hello and welcome to College to Consulting. While we've gone over a lot of case frameworks and how to do cases, today I'm going to go over what to do for the actual interview when you're in the room with an interviewer. Alright, so this is you. You're in the room with an interviewer. You're probably very, very nervous because it's your case and you're just very flustered. So a couple of things to do to keep in mind outside of the actual case. Number one, keep track of time. Wear a watch. I mean a watch, not your phone. You don't have to wear a watch today. You don't have to wear it after your interview, but during the interview, wear a watch. The reason why I say this is because the onus is on you to keep track of time. Even though the interviewer should be keeping track of time, if that interview goes over, you are going to get blamed for not having good sense of time management. I'll give you a story. When I was interviewing, my friend was also interviewing with a healthcare consulting firm, and he went over by about 15 minutes. Now, to him at the time, he thought this was amazing because he's getting along so well with the interviewer that the interviewer feels very, very comfortable with him. The interviewer said, "Oh my gosh, we are over by 15 minutes. I need you to summarize right now." My friend summarized. Needless to say, next day did not get the second round offer. When he asked the HR person for some feedback, the HR rep said that his interviewer noted to keep better track of time. I stress this again, wear a watch, that way you know what time it is and you can quickly glance at it without having your interviewer see it. If you use your phone and you pull out your phone during the interview, you might as well yawn in your interviewer's face. Next, prepare multiple interview sheets. I teach my students something called the 3-sheet minimum. This means I have one sheet which I draw my framework on, second sheet which I use to draw graphs and charts on, and a third sheet which is just notes. And these notes I only keep to myself. My interviewer will never see this sheet of paper. It's for my sloppy handwriting and just ideas that I can jot down very, very quickly. But if you have multiple sheets of paper, you'll look actually much more structured, and you can put these sheets of paper in front of your interviewer to distract them. So for instance, if I have a framework sheet of paper, I put it in front of my interviewer. Now my interviewer is looking at that sheet of paper and not looking at my notes sheet of paper. We'll go into this in more detail later on in the course. Next is illustrate ideas. The reason why a case is so special for an interview is that it's not only testing your ability for analytics and structure and all this other stuff, but it also tests how would you communicate to a client. And in consulting, you communicate effectively through a lot of graphs and illustration. A very good book that teaches this is called Back of the Napkin. Now, you don't have to be an amazing artist. I hear this all the time that my students say, but I'm not good at drawing. I'm not good at drawing either. But all you have to do is know how to make your ideas visual so that they're very easy to follow and very clear. So try to get used to illustrating ideas when you go for the interview. Next one, how to ask for data. A lot of people ask for data incorrectly. And when I was interviewing, I interviewed with Bain. And this was the main piece of feedback that I got back that I absolutely cherished and helped me with the rest of my career. When you do a lot of cases, take note of this. A lot of your friends are going to just say, do we have any data on X? Do you have any data on Y? Do you have any data on cost, on revenue? Do we have data on this, on this, on this, on this? That is a very wrong way to ask for data. Instead, the better way to ask is to make a hypothesis about that data, and to make a hypothesis and ask for data to support or negate your hypothesis. You will just appear smarter and much more structured. Here's an example. Pretend that we're doing a case on growth, and we want the company to grow, and we're looking at which products to invest in, A, B, or C. And let's say we know a little bit about A product, a little bit about B product, a little bit about C. 80% or 90% of interviewers are just going to say, do we have any data on product A or product B, or do we have any data on which product does the best? Very generic type of way to ask for data. A better way to say it is, I would assume product A is outperforming product B and C because of XYZ reason. Do you have any data to support or negate this hypothesis? That sounds much cleaner and much more professional than just asking for data. Now imagine this. The point about illustrating ideas, I said, is to talk to show how you would talk in front of a client. Would you really talk in front of a client and just ask, do we have any data on revenue, to a client that just hired you and spent a lot of money on you to figure this out? It would sound much more effective if you said, we're hypothesizing this about your product. Do you have information to support or negate this hypothesis? Again, try to get used to saying that rather than just saying, do we have any data? All right. Last thing is initiate the summary. So here's a very big pet peeve of mine. I have students in the first phase and we know how to do a case and they're just cranking through it, doing a fantastic job of answering objective 1, 2, and 3, showing growth strategy, analytics is fine, mental math is perfect, everything's great. And then they finish the third objective or the second objective and they just become very, very quiet. And it becomes very painful. What I tell them to do is to initiate the summary. If you feel that you have successfully answered objective 1, 2, and 3, and you ask if there's anything else, are there any objectives, and the interviewer says no, then go ahead and initiate the summary. Do it. Don't wait for the interviewer to tell you to do it. Some books out there will role play, and the interviewer knows exactly when to ask for a summary. Don't do that. Instead, after you finish your last objective and you feel like you've closed it out, say, so I think I've successfully answered all the objectives for this case. Unless there is anything else I would like to summarize. By saying this, you put the onus on the interviewer to say, yes, I actually want you to look at one other thing, or no, I think you've answered everything, go ahead and summarize. But initiate the summary. Okay, so we've gone over a couple things to do in terms of behavior for your interview outside of the case. These are also just as important as the actual case, so take note of this, and the best way to do this, honestly, is to just practice. When you do practice with friends, wear a watch, rip out multiple sheets of paper, try drawing, try asking for data through a hypothesis method, and initiate the summary in order to keep track of time. All right, thank you very much.